Mariachi is something that has been really relevant and really important in my life. It is something that has provided for my family in many different ways. When my grandfather first moved over here to the United States in 1973, he brought with him his experience of playing mariachi through our hometown in Jalisco. And throughout the years, as my uncles and my mom all crossed over here too, they decided to follow in his footsteps, and they also started playing mariachi because that's how they could pay the bills. My mom crossed over here when she was 16, so being an undocumented mother of 3 was really challenging for her, and a way for her to provide for us was really hard under those circumstances. So her way of providing for us was playing mariachi on weekends and being a waitress on weekdays while we were at school. So it was something really important in my life, and it was something I grew up listening to all the time. So because of this, I learned to appreciate this part of mariachi culture. I mean, this part of Mexican culture, because it was something I was surrounded by all the time. So because of this is why I chose mariachi to be what I speak about today. My grandfather and 3 of my uncles are still part of 2 of the top mariachis in LA, so I'm still surrounded by this tradition. So it is something really dear to my heart, so I hope with this research it will help you guys learn something about it. And I'm sure there's a lot of Hispanic people in this class, so it can help you guys benefit by learning about your own culture as well. In this speech, I will inform you on the meaning, the history, and the significance of mariachi culture. Starting with the word mariachi. Mariachi is defined as a musical expression that dates back to at least 19th century Western Mexico. There has been a lot of different theories on where the word originated, and it states that on mariachi.org it states that it is a variation of the French word mariage, meaning wedding or marriage, and it comes from the time in the 19th century when Maximilian, who was a Frenchman, was emperor of Mexico, and they chose that name because it was what it was most related to, because they were played at weddings. So now that you guys know where the word started, I will show you guys what it is made up of. So mariachi is made up of usually 6 violins, 2 trumpets, and 3 rhythm instruments, which are the guitar, the guitarron, and the vihuela. Before they started using the guitarron, which is it looks like a huge guitar, they used to use a harp, but since before the way they would get gigs is by walking around and waiting for someone to hire them, the harp was too heavy to carry, so they started using the guitarron. For people that play mariachi, their instrument's really important to them because that's what provides for their livelihood. And it's something, you have to, I heard my uncles playing all the time, trying to learn new songs and learn how to read music on their own. So their instrument's really important to them. So it's really cool to see how much love they have for what they do, and they enjoy working. So for what they wear, they usually wear a suit and it has embellishments on the side. I used to see my mom sewing them on herself. And you have to really take care of your suits. I was seeing my mom taking them to the dry cleaners and taking care of your suits because you have to look presentable and look professional. So it was really important for to all look the same, because they'll give you different colors to wear with each mariachi. They'll also sometimes wear hats, but nowadays they don't really wear them, and then they'll wear a little bow tie and they'll all match. So it just adds to the professionalism and it makes them look more presentable, so it's really important for them too. So now that you guys know what a mariachi is, I want to show you guys talk to you guys about some history about it. Mariachi was originated in my favorite place in Mexico, which is Jalisco. And according to mxconnect.com, the instruments originally used by mariachi were introduced by Spaniards, which were the violins, the guitars, the vihuelas, and the harp. These instruments were intended to be used during masses, but the criollos began using them to make popular music as well. The criollos, which were people of pure descent born in Spanish America, they wanted to wipe out every last trace of Spanish in Mexico, a Spanish presence in Mexico, so they supported mariachi music. Mariachi.org states that the principal music played by the early mariachis was called the son. It was music that was a mixture of a type of folk traditions from Spain, Mexico, and Africa, and it was found in many different regions of the country. The son from Jalisco was called the son jalisciense, and sons from other regions include the son jaroche or veracruzano, which is from the Gulf Port of Mexico, and the son Mixteco, which is from northeastern Mexico. And as mariachi started to get more popular, new dances started emerging. According to mariachiplaza.com, the traditional dance technique associated with both the son jalisciense and son jarocho is the zapateado. The zapateado was a distinctive type of footwork that originated in Spain. The performers drive the heels of their boots into the dance floor, pounding out with often syncopated rhythms which complement that of the musical instruments. Another type of dance was the jarabe tapatio, or they also call it the Mexican hat dance. It originated in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and it soon became the national dance of Mexico. What they usually wear is, the men will typically wear the classic outfit of the Jalisco horsemen. They'll wear either something like this with the light colors, and they'll wear something around their neck, or they'll also wear just the typical, like the mariachi suit kind of, it looks like. And then the women will wear a hand-woven shawl. There's not one here, but they usually wear something around here, and then there's usually a lot of bright colors. Nowadays, they'll have bright colors at the end because they're usually moving them around, so it looks really pretty to see the pretty colors at the end of these skirts. A dance that's still around today that they're still teaching them in LA and a lot of places. It's called folklorico. So that's something that emerged from zapateado. So it's something that's still around, and I love watching it. It's something really enjoyable to see, and it matches up with mariachi really well. As women started playing a big role, not only in dance, they also started playing a big role in singing mariachi. And in order to sing mariachi, you really have to have a strong voice in order to be superior to the instruments playing. So before like it was, to see a woman singing that type of music, it was seeing them as empowered and strong. So it's cool to see how it's still relevant today, because there are a lot of mariachis that are all women mariachis. So it's cool to see that they have that type of influence on people today. So like I said before, mariachi is still around today. It is considered the music of Mexico. I mean, I'm sure you guys have gone to a Mexican restaurant or seen mariachi playing on parties or something, and you guys have heard Las Mañanitas, which is the happy birthday song in Spanish. My uncles, for example, just went to China last year and played for the Mexican consulate in Beijing for the Mexican Independence Day. So they're still getting paid to travel to different countries and different states to share that culture with other people. Mariachi is something that is really inspiring and full of history, and it is something that will stay relevant for a long time. That's pretty much it. Thank you. Who's reviewing me?
I think I was going to do it.
Go ahead, Nick.
Overall, I think the information was fantastic. You had a really good, you spoke well, although it was a little fast sometimes, especially when you're pronouncing words that others might not know. Like I myself, am Hispanic, I know these words, other people might not. It was a little fast for people to maybe understand. Also, your hand motions are extremely distracting sometimes, although your voice is carrying well. You're jolting and fidgeting a little bit. It's probably just the nerves, which is a total learning thing. I thought the transitions were good just because you use the visuals to transition sometimes, which is good because you were describing something and then you would put it on the screen for us to see, which I thought was great. I like the attention device, talking about the personal story of your grandfather and your family being involved in mariachi. I thought that was really cool and interesting. And preview-wise, also just explaining the fact that they're still currently doing that and have some presence in Los Angeles. You went over everything very good. I just think that the thesis, maybe, I don't remember, it could just be me, but I don't remember you talking about the dancing in your thesis, but you did go over it, which was great. Yeah, but overall I think it was good, and I think if you just get the hand fidgeting down, it's going to be a lot better the next time.
Thank you.
Well, I'll echo a lot of those comments. I think he's right. Sometimes you're rushing through the terminology, and people who are not native speakers of Spanish are going to go, "Huh?
Yeah.
What?" And so give me, and it wouldn't necessarily hurt to maybe have the visual reference to go with that too, so that we can kind of get the sense of what the word looks like and how it sounds as you're saying it also. And it did feel a little bit like it was being rushed, so you need to pace yourself a little bit there. I like the attention device. I thought the topic was clear. I thought you had a very good preview. I didn't think that your statement was as focused as it needed to be. It's like, I'm going to help you learn something about mariachi, and it didn't feel like it was very well planned as far as your purpose statement, and so I thought that was awkward. There was some historical references in the presentation. I do think the source citations got made occasionally and probably need to be made a little bit more often. I'm kind of going to agree with Nicholas also about the dance issue. I think that I see a relationship there, but it wasn't set up at the beginning of the speech, and so it really felt like it was out of place when you were talking about it. I'm going, well, wait a second, what is this? The connection here is tangential at best, and it felt like it was not where you originally were headed. Now I can see that there's a way that it fits in with that, but that's one of the reasons that you want to plan those openings and make sure that the structure of the speech allows you to get away with doing that kind of thing and pulling those in, as opposed to it being a sideshow. The visuals, they're pretty basic. The instruments, the pictures of the outfits and costumes are fine. The dancing images, they were okay. I thought it would have made more sense maybe to give us a video clip of the kind of dance that you're talking about, especially the one where you're talking about the feet being dragged out and the sound being done with the feet. That sounds like it connects a little bit more to the mariachi sort of thing, the sound that's going on there, and that would have maybe made it make a little bit more sense as to why it fits in there. Usually you are talking to us, so I like that. You're not looking at the notes as a lot. You look at them occasionally, but usually you're trying to talk to us. But like Nicholas said, sometimes a little fast, and maybe the gestures, you're overdoing them a little bit. Okay, thank you.